Hey Axis and Allies players, the good captain here. Welcome to a recap of round 17 and round 18 for Austria, Hungary, and Germany in this never-ending game of Axis and Allies 1914. Fortunately, with a little bit, not even a little bit of luck, with some average luck, this should be. I think I'll get a concession if I have average luck. After this turn, maybe, but definitely after the next turn. I think it will end on round 19, somewhere in there. I think I'll get the concession. But okay, that it could still explode in my face here, so let's go through what happened. The French, this is where we left off at the end of Germany's turn. This last turn for the Central Powers was more of a map cleanup and maintenance, repositioning of forces, and now we're going to take advantage of some opportunities that were afforded to us by the Entente. The French bought 10 infantry, and you can see his decision-making process here. He organized some attacks, then thought better of it, and then decided to pull back into Burgundy. But then, yeah, you know, I gotta pat myself on the back a little bit. This is a tough spot to be in as the French. What do? Do you just sacrifice this army? Where do you place it? If you can't go to Piedmont, can't attack, you can't even fall back properly. He probably played the best hand he could after realizing the attacks weren't going to go anywhere or that he was going to hold. Actually, he could have held, but it would have doomed the army for sure. We move this big army into Burgundy. That army becomes essentially trapped after we contest the zone with some assets. So, yeah, he falls back, but he doesn't just fall back. He brings units out from Paris, 20 infantry, and reinforces. Then he loads the French out of Rome and drops them into Marseille, which is probably overdue. I guess he didn't like the number 38, and he evens it up to 40. Pins Piedmont, no combat there. No combat overall. And the turn becomes complete. And he has 30 for next turn. Again, this is I keep scratching my head when I come back to this game every week and like, how the hell does France have 30? But it's because of that strong Africa thing, which pays with the consequence of which he's paid for, because UK just doesn't have enough money to get going anymore. So UK buys 13 infantry, picks up the 4 and flips them into Brest, pushes Brest into Paris. Again, great move, no problem. This is interesting. In the east, let's go over here. In the east, this is what I kind of have always been leery of, this move into the not-so-dead zone Sevastopol. And he finally goes for it, okay? He pushes his armies in Mezo and Persia into Sevastopol. And he initially, I don't think he lands this. Yeah, he puts the fighters in Sevastopol, but then undoes it. And I wonder what his final, that's not a for sure thing. I have 3 fighters, he has 3 fighters. And he decides not to. He blinks. And then look at this. For the first time, we see a weakening of forces out of Ankara. Pulls an infantry back. Oh, it's not that big a deal. Okay, yeah, no, he's deciding how to weaken it. I could see the path of the decision-making path. So what did he finally settle on? It's hard to tell. Okay, I see. He brings out 2 armor and 1 infantry from Ankara, and then he transports over an armor and an infantry from India, and then moves India to Persia. So that's, you can see the intent. When you review the other person's turn, you can see where their brain is at or where their head is at, unless it's total fake. But the main thing is he pulled off 2 armor and an infantry from Ankara, so this is going to slacken his pressure significantly on Constantinople. No combat. He places 4 in London, 9 in India, and collects only 39. That's just nuts. Not even 40. Places the Frenchman. Okay, that's just nuts. They're so thinned out over here. I think I can safely say Constantinople is secure, and now we're going to, at least for the moment, and now we're going to deal with this setup in Sevastopol. Kind of prepared for this, and now I get to execute my defensive plan. So the Ottomans just drop in 3. No, nothing interesting there. I did contemplate an attack, but we're not there yet. Okay. Uh, the Italians place 4 in Rome. No, nothing special there. The Americans finally they have a very nice lethal shuck going, but we'll review this in a moment. So he gets 8 pieces loaded onto 4 transports. This is what I think is quote unquote correct. Flip 4 with 8 transports every turn, or yeah, flip 4 transports every turn for 8 pieces. So he does that, and then he flips his units out of Spanish Morocco. God, he does things so out of order. It's confusing as hell. And then drops them into Rome. So he's getting 8 pieces a turn from the Americans and 4 pieces a turn from the Italians. So that's 12 pieces a turn, whereas the French are producing 10 pieces a turn. So the onus is now on France. The incentive for me as the CP is also that this is the capital I actually need to end the game if someone doesn't want to concede. So look at this. Actually, yeah, and he places 8 units. Now we'll show current game. I like this American setup. This is what I like. 8 units on the US with 4 transports. 4 transports off of Portugal with 8 units in either Spain or Spanish Morocco. And then he's got a 4 transport shuck in the Mediterranean. The problem, and the thing that I will be critical of him is, officially critical of, is these extra 5 transports. What are they doing? What they actually do is make it so I can't realistically hold Albania, and that's why I'm just holding here with a force that wants to just pin the French and make it so that nobody owns it, which he seems to be agreeing to. But other than that, what are they doing? I just shrug my shoulders. This is dead income not well spent. If it's not working for you every turn, what is it doing? It's dead. So it's not that it will never be interesting, but it certainly has been uninteresting for a few turns now. It's not good. Inefficiency is just you handing you free stuff to your opponent. So, okay, now we get to the, oh, I wanted to do a quick TUV swing analysis and economy analysis. So when we look at the economy, it looks like he's a point ahead of me at the end of round 17, but he saved 3 for the Americans and saved 1 for the French, so he's actually at 101, whereas mine is actual. That's actually what it is, and I'm about to gain Piedmont here in a moment. So I've got the economy. Yes, I'll have the economy here. And the TUV is 100 points in his favor, but I have 48 points of naval units. The Entente have 297. So when we take their number, 1468 minus 297, their land total unit value, the total unit value of the land units, which matter in terms of gaining IPCs and strategic edge on the battlefield where the game actually matters, is 1171, whereas me, so it's 1171 1171 versus 1320. So, I've got him. I've got him. I just got to play clean and decent Axis and allies, and we should have it. And so, with all of that at the front of our minds, let us now finish the job. So we're going to build 3 artillery, 8 infantry, and 1 fighter. And there's reasons for each of these purchases. I'll go over at the end of the game, or at the end of the turn. And after studying this battlefield, I can attack at something like a slightly positive tub, but his counterattack would be problematic, especially with those 3 armor. So, and the fact that he's within range with air. So no, we want to. I've analyzed this, and there's a better option. We're gonna tighten up in Totterstown. We're gonna have the Germans come down and reinforce here. You'll see that on their turn, and just a very aggressive sidestep here is what is in order. And I can actually pull, from the reinforcements. Again, I'm going to play it pretty conservative and just send 3 up here. I could actually retract some Austrian assets from Constantinople, but I'm not going to. I want him to keep doing what he's doing. So then we'll push these here, and we'll take 8. We're just going to make packages of 8, kind of ram them this way. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that side. And now over here in Tuscany, I've analyzed the ability for his side, the Entente, to double wave attack us with Italian then American. And it's a little scary, but we should be able to weather this storm. The Italians will get butchered, but the Americans could hit us. So we're going to attempt to take and hold Piedmont permanently. Okay. And what do I have? What did I have for my? I sent 2 there. 610. Yeah, let's just stick with the plan. Pair the artillery with the infantry as potential reinforcements, and then send 6 south. Okay. Do the. Oh yes, I almost forgot to move this fighter to Galicia. And the reason this is very important, in my opinion, this provides me air cover over Tatarstan, and we'll go over the defensive plan on Germany's turn. But for now, we're just going to occupy Piedmont, hopefully permanently. Let me just double check my planning map. Yeah, it looks good. Oh, I almost forgot. You don't want to roll these. We'll add them in at the end. That's going to be the next area that we try to occupy, I think. Maybe not. There's too many American transports in the Med, and that seems to be... I like the agreement. I think it benefits me more than it benefits him, just both of us not attacking. Anyway. Always hesitate to click done, but we got to get on with it. Let's move. Okay. So we change the unit hit damages. Actually, I'll just not show you guys this. Okay, and then we'll drop in our purchases and move to Germany. Yeah, I was going to review this east end defense over here after Germany's turn. This is actually a critical turn. This scares the hell out of me because we actually have to roll dice in quantity. But it needs to be done, and this is what we worked. The advantage we have here is the advantage we've worked for all game. So to not bite at it is to take perhaps bigger risks. So what we're going to do is purchase all infantry. I don't want to, and hopefully this is the last turn where we have to. I'll explain everything here in a moment in terms of the grand strategy. And now we have to take advantage of this blunder. or what I not a blunder. It's not a blunder. It might be his best option at this point, but it is a low-hanging fruit that I cannot ignore. And that's this positive 65 tub swing if I hit Burgundy with every stick, with every piece of equipment that I have. So we're looking at 39 and a half kills on the attack, and he can't ignore any of them. Um, and he's looking at 24 kills on the return fire, and I can ignore 5. So I'm expecting to lose 19 infantry, and I'm sorry, yeah, 19 infantry, and I'm expecting him to lose 39 infantry. That's a conservative, slightly conservative estimate, but when you fight these big pitched battles, this is where having a bad roll has really nasty consequences. Um, in a way, you're putting more on the table than you are in standard Axis and allies because of your inability to fight multiple rounds. It's an inability to retreat from a territory. There's less options. So once you commit, and a bad dice roll is something you just have to eat. And I've analyzed his counterattack option because this will take everything. Coming out of Paris, he has, if the dice are average, he will come like a piece away from cutting away all of our infantry, and we have 61 infantry. So we're prepared to lose essentially 60 infantry with his attack, and that's the average roll. So if it goes to the wrong side of the bell curve, he'll cut into artillery. Um, and well, let's just push the pieces in so you can see this. So it looks like this. We put a blocker in Picardy. That's to force the French to possibly pull at least 2 infantry away to capture that back and get the money for it. The British could capture it, yes, but he wouldn't get any money for doing that. That goes to France. Okay. And we just push everyone forward, right? We just rock everyone forward. No science to it. Pretty simple. But over here in the east, I'm going to move 3 infantry and an artillery here, and then 1 infantry and 3 artillery here, and that's to even out these defenses. We'll also bring this infantry from Karelia to Moscow. And these Germans are just meat shields. What we want to do is protect the Austrians and keep them strong and available for counterattack. So there's a lot to say over here, but I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Wherever he goes, we can hit him back pretty hard. It's going to sting. I think his best move is to hit Tatarstan. It will be a positive swing. We should have at least 5 units left, which makes our counterattack option look like this. It's pretty thin. Now on examination of this, I think I'm going to commit the Germans entirely to Tatarstan. Yeah, because if he hits Ukraine, it's a cherry for sure. He can stomp Ukraine, take off 8 pieces, and probably has a good chance of taking the territory. I'll run it real quick just to be sure. Yeah, he'd take some losses, but he'd be down. He would have a 30% chance of actually taking the territory. But it's all infantry, and then we have a massive Austrian counterattack on the table. So, what's the most efficient way of doing this? I think I'm going to drop 3 artillery and just 1 German. Lower his probability of taking the territory, increase the odds that, we have at least 1 Austrian left, and we need an Austrian in here. If he contests another zone, we can still move Austrians into another contested zone, between contested zones. Anyway, I'm getting analytical, and I don't want to overthink it. So, what we are expecting in Burgundy is the big deal. Like this, if we have like something horrible, like +8, -8, something like that, the game will unfortunately go on and on and on, and I don't really want that. And that's why I bought all infantry. There actually is an option to, I've never seen this before, but it's staring me in the face. There's an option to threaten the UK. Because he's so thin on money, building probably 2 transports, maybe 3, along with a max infantry build, would threaten the entire UK. We could take Scotland, Yorkshire, London, and we could do it relatively safely, and I can show you how. And this is actually stated explicitly in the rules. Transports, I can breach the minefield before I load, right? So transports move 1, 2, they roll for mines, survivors survive, and then I can load from Belgium. Isn't that crazy? And then invade immediately. So there's that. So I'd have to do like I'd have to coordinate it. It would take a turn or two to prep, but uh, it could be done. And then to shut down all those IPCs and threaten the UK would force him to build more units in the UK, which means less units over here, which means more gains, more map control in the east. So that's how Germany can affect a corner of the map where it's not. And I've done this before, things like this before, not necessarily the invasion of the UK, but endgame stuff against the UK on the west side of the map that affects them on the east side, forcing them to spend IPCs in London. So, alright, I don't want to do this. We know what the numbers are, we know what to look for as an average. If we're lucky, we'll roll hot, he'll roll cold, and then the game will be over. He'll concede, but that's a pretty big if, that's a pretty big ask. Yeah, that's it. There's no... We could sit it out, but it's time to go. Plus 60 is one that we can't ignore. He misses us in there, so we want 30. So we underrolled by 3.5 kills. That's not good. He underrolled by 1. Okay, so we've passed through the first stage. No, yeah, that was definitely within par. So let's analyze his attack pattern now. So as you can see, he has a positive TOV attack. It's only by 1 piece, which is just basically down the middle at this piece count. Piece for piece, IPC for IPC. So that's good for me because I control the board economy at this point. But okay, my average defender units left looks like 31. We'll call it 31. We'll go on the low side. So as you can see, I have 31 core units, artillery, air. I don't put armor here because the AI doesn't understand it. So I just discount them. They all defend on 1. Actually, I rolled them up into 1 infantry. So anyway, long story short, we are running risk exposure to our artillery. But on the flip side, he'll lose pieces too. He can ignore 2 of them because he has 2 armor. But there is an attack option for him. And he can do this without risk of loss to his capital because the British are there in force. He'll place new units, and I don't have any significant army adjacent other than the one that's fighting in Burgundy. So non-combat move is finished. We drop in. The all-infantry purchase was just in case things went badly. We want to have a nice, strong infantry screen. And, we have a very hefty reinforcement block coming in. This is 30 pieces across the back row. So we could lose all 30 pieces up here in front and then have 30 more right behind it. And this is how you execute proper trench warfare in Axis and Allies 1914. So we'll see how it goes. We did save 2. So the TOV is now 1401 to 1354, and he'll climb back because this is the best snapshot for the CP, but not bad. And now we're clearly ahead. I don't think he's going to gain any IPCs this turn. I got to add back in these Austrians. But yeah, that's it. I think I was right at the beginning of this video. Another turn, maybe 2, and I expect a concession. Although it is disheartening, he essentially sent me a message. He's, man, this is great. I've never played a game this long. It's just, you're dead, dude. Like, I'm waiting for you to tap. But, like a professional chess player, you play to the end. But if it were me, I would give my opponent the honors at this point and not drag it out. But it's not annoyingly bad. Like I've played people that just won't give up until their capitals have fallen, and that's fine too. But that's a little irritating. It's just why are we doing this? Okay, thanks for watching this. All the best. Bye bye.